Hey everyone, happy whatever it is, Wednesday. No, Tuesday. Oh my God, I don't even know. Wednesday, yes, sorry. Sometimes the weeks, the days, everything, it just all runs together. So let me try this again. Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good day, and it is time once again for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. That's kind of embarrassing. Usually I know what day of the week it is, but this week and all the weeks seem to be just kind of like melding together. Anyway, a bunch of different things happened today, so let me, as seems to be usual lately, let me start with the barn door here and see what happened on this pup. Again, not surprisingly, Mr. Rafa doing this. And so the amazing Porsche 356B brakes started going together on the front of the car. Look at these massive things. So they're just huge and they look cool and everything about them is bitchin'. That is the drum, which basically looks the same as the rear ones with a few slight differences. But yeah, overall pretty much the same. So we're having to get a copy of a Hot B Dubs magazine where somebody went and showed all the part numbers and everything that you need to run these brakes on this bus. And so I think there's some spacers that we need and maybe some bearings that are kind of particular for adapting the Porsche drum to these spindles. So yeah, hopefully that back issue will be coming pretty soon. And then I think it's just all sort of off-the-shelf parts. It's just knowing what to sort of mix and match to make this stuff all essentially bolt up. So there you go. But yeah, in the meantime, the main sort of assembly is done here. So that was pretty much Rafa's day. He came in a little late today, so a little bit short day. But yeah, he pulled apart the stock brakes initially and then went ahead and started building these up. So that was pretty much his day. So my day started off with this beauty here again, trying to push through on this guy. And so I started off the day with a front end alignment or checking the front end alignment. So, you know, it's funny, this car, it has some things that are just horribly wrong with it, and then other things are fairly spot on. So I checked the alignment, and it's perfectly towed in at 1/8 of an inch, which is like right within the spec there. So I just left it alone. I was actually surprised to see that adjusted that correctly. So good on whoever did that. So then from there, I did go ahead and put in the gas tank that you guys all love. I don't even hardly want to show it because it's so weird looking. But yeah, I went ahead and put the gas tank in, connected the reserve lever, connected the fuel line, put gas in it, and I haven't seen any leaks. So far so good. Fingers crossed. Put gas in it this morning. So far no leaks nowhere. So that's good. And then from there, let's see, what did I do? I did also add the snubbers on the front suspension. I hadn't put those on previously. So those are on there now. And then I went and I greased all the Zerk fittings. So there's 2 on each upright, and then there's a total of 4 on the beam itself. So yeah, I went ahead and greased all that up. So that stuff up here should all be done now. You know, alignment, everything's all pretty much done. The brakes, etc. Like I mentioned, connected the reserve lever. I installed the glove box, the cardboard glove box liner, whatever you want to call it, and yeah, it's looking pretty good. I installed the heater hoses in the back, so those are the ones that go from the heater boxes to basically the body. Those long sort of metal ones that are sort of somewhat extendable and somewhat flexible. So those are in. And then while I was installing the one on this side, I was reminded of something I had noticed before, and so I went ahead and fixed it. And that is that, and so this is where, you know, some things on this car were just horribly wrong. And this is one of them. The Bowden tube was a complete straight line. Like, you could not have made a straighter line of that Bowden tube if you had it, you know, tied to a ruler or something. And so Those of you that know these cars know that if the Bowden tube, which again connects the chassis to the transmission, basically, is supposed to have like an arc in it. And what that does, and I've explained this before, is when the transmission kind of moves a little due to flexing when you start unloading the clutch, is the Bowden tube having some flex in it or a bow in it, it can like kind of straighten out a little bit without changing the length of the clutch cable by the way that it's attached between the chassis and the transmission itself, and then the cable runs through it. And so if the Bowden tube doesn't have a bow in it, then you'll get terrible clutch chatter when you try and take off. And so this one, again, the Bowden tube had zero bow in it. So I had to pull off the bracket for it, which is kind of a pain when it's all up in there. And pretty much what you do is you just stack washers between the Bowden tube and the bracket to, create that arc. So did that, got the arc in there, and then, reinstalled the clutch cable or, connected it back here, got it all adjusted. So that's all done. And then went ahead and put in the heater tube there. So yeah, that stuff is all pretty much done. Another just little thing was, again, I think I mentioned this yesterday, he had like an auto parts store positive battery cable, and the end of which was like way too fat and wouldn't fit in the cover. If I can reach this cover here. So yeah, I see right here, and there's a little cutout for that, which fits nicely on this correct cable, which comes from Wolfsburg West. The other cable was just super fat all in here, and there was no way that the cover was going on it, and it was too short. So this one, right length and the right size for the cover to go on. So went and swapped that in with the correct grommet up there. So again, just, all these little things, they all sort of add up and, take some time. So yeah, this car is pretty much ready to start today. However, and I probably would have done it, but I still don't have any keys for this car. I asked Octavio today, and he said, no, he never got any keys for it. The owner thought Octavio had them, so you know what? Nothing I can do about that. Luckily, the ignition switch and the door handle for this with keys are fairly inexpensive, so I guess I could try and get the codes off those things and have keys made, but no, I need to keep this thing moving. So I'll get those from Wolfsburg West, slot those in. And then finally, I should be able to start this thing because I think everything else is ready now. So look for that on upcoming video. Probably not this week, but maybe early next week. I'll be firing this thing up and maybe even taking it for a drive. Getting very close. So that was it for that one today. On this one, I did kind of finish up a few details on the motor. The motor looks about the same as it did last time I showed it to you guys. The difference being that now a lot of the stuff on here is on here for real. The intake manifold was just sort of sitting on here before because I was waiting on the seals that go between the head and the intake manifold. So those came in, I popped those in there, tightened the manifold down, got it bolted, the heat risers bolted onto the exhaust. So this is all on here for real now. Carburetor's bolted down, the support's bolted down. All this stuff is like on here for real now. Air cleaner just sitting there. But other than that, yeah, this is all on legitimately now. And again, he had the fuel lines in and out, and they were ugly. So I got new ones from Wolfsburg West, which always look great. And they took a little tweaking to get them to line up, but very little. They're actually really nice and really close to just going right on out of the bag. So yeah, those are all installed now. The inlet one just basically sitting here waiting to connect to the chassis via a rubber line, braided cloth rubber line. So the breastplate is on here with just a couple screws. I may go ahead and just leave it on and install the motor with this on. On these little motors, you can put them in with this on. It's usually not much of an issue. In fact, even on most motors you can. Just not when you go to put a huge motor in an early car. Usually, like, all this stuff has to come off, but this should go in just like this, pretty much fully assembled. So I think, though, as I may have mentioned, I'm going to probably go ahead and run this thing on the bench, on the stand, check everything out, make sure, it doesn't have any oil leaks. Again, this was This car was running and driving restored car with this motor in it before it got converted into a hot rod. So I don't have any real suspicion about this motor, having anything wrong with it. However, I would like to at least fire it up and kind of hear it run and stuff like that on the stand before I pop it in the car. Those of you that follow the channel routinely know I've been bitten in the ass many times by installing motors in cars only to find that they have like a massive oil leak or fill in the blank. It's happened more times than I care to think about. So yeah, probably go ahead and fire this one up. And once I see, hopefully that's all good, then boom, it'll go in the car. So the car that we're lovingly starting to call the tennis ball, the 54, kind of lime green 54 Beetle, Jacob went ahead and pulled the motor out of it today. I helped him just a little bit at the end, kind of safer to do with two people to keep an eye on things. But yeah, motor came right out. And yeah, he continued stripping the engine compartment. He got the sound barrier out, pretty much all the wiring, the body to engine seals, all that stuff out. He also pulled the fender beading out, so it can start to be prepped for paint and body work. Went ahead and started on the interior. He pulled the seats out, the front seats at least. So yeah, slowly but surely that car is coming apart, getting ready for paint and body. Hopefully as soon as the 69 bus is done with its paint work, then the tennis ball Beetle is next. So back to the barn door for a second. So Octavio and team have finished essentially like recreating a set of right-hand drive barn door seats for us. And so basically what he did was he took a slightly later seat and he swapped the fold down section from this side to this side to be correct for a left-hand drive car right-hand drive car, because of course on a right-hand drive car, the cargo door is on the other side, which means that the seat that folds down has to be on the other side. So he moved that over and got this thing all pretty much set up perfect for the right-hand drive bus. We put on the correct number of legs. So these early buses, the legs were kind of weird. These seats have 6 legs. This is the middle seat, by the way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all spaced, kind of like a very, very precise spacing of these. You can't just put the 6 legs anywhere. They got to go in the right place. So we used another seat as kind of a template. And a lot of work going into converting this thing from a slightly later seat to not only an early seat, but also converting it to a right-hand drive seat. And then the other seat frames are laying around here. There is the front seat pieces. And then the back seat pieces, I think. Yeah, back seat pieces are in the car. They've been done for a little while. So we're going to go over these again and make sure that we're 100% happy with everything about them, which I'm sure we will be. And then they will be going off to sandblasting and powder coating. And then we can have Octavio and team start upholstering these. So that's exciting. We have found the very correct looking black vinyl for them. And we're finding the correct thread, which is kind of like almost a gold or tan color. So we're trying to find the correct thread for the stitching because it is a nice little detail that kind of shows on these. So yeah, these seats are going to look amazing. They're going to look very correct, with the possible exception of if somebody actually sticks their head under there and looks, then they might notice that the springs are going to be a little different than a true barn door seat. But if somebody really wants to go in this bus and stick their head under there and look, they're more than welcome to do it. And then I would challenge them to actually find a correct set of seats for this 54 barn door right-hand drive. Anyway, so it's gonna look amazing. I believe that is actually it for today, guys. So lots of stuff getting done around here by us and by our sort of neighboring shops, and Jacob and myself and Rafa, all keeping all these beautiful VW projects moving forward. So thank you guys for watching, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye.